Well, hello, this is Andy Ogles. Welcome to episode 5 of Restoring the Republic. I'm coming at you live from my office in Washington, D.C., affectionately known as the Swamp. Now, look, you may not believe in Bigfoot, but I can tell you swamp creatures are real. They're alive and walking around D.C. as we speak. So let's talk about the swamp creatures for a second, and let's talk about FISA, because they think it's okay to spy on Americans. Now, I want to give you context on that. So in 2016, FISA was used to spy on Donald Trump. So you can like Donald Trump, you can not like Donald Trump, that's up to you. But the fact that FISA, which is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, it was weaponized against Americans is a problem. And look, so what is FISA supposed to be for? Think 9/11. It's to prevent terrorists who are abroad or maybe even operating here in the United States, and their accomplices can be surveilled covertly. Again, I understand the premise of it, but the problem is there's been over 3 million Americans caught up in queries, quote unquote, under FISA. We know that it's been weaponized. We know that people under FISA were targeted because they were conservative, because they were Catholic. There were cases where agents who had access to this information were spying on their girlfriends or their ex-girlfriends. Again, that's a problem. And I want to say it again. These aren't talking points for a campaign. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't some maybe it's happening, maybe it's not. We know it's taking place. We know that they spied on a former president of the United States of America, and that should concern you. So we had FISA before the House of Representatives. And so, again, some of the backstory behind this is you had Judiciary, which is the Committee of Jurisdiction, meaning Jim Jordan's version of the bill is what should have been brought to the House floor. The problem with that is the Swamp wasn't really happy with Jim Jordan's version because it was going to insert a warrant requirement. Okay, I know I'm getting into the weeds on this, but this is important stuff. This is about you being surveilled. Let me ask you this. Do you want the federal government to have access to every text that you send? Do you want them to be able to read every email? Do you want them to know your search history in detail? I'm guessing not, because right now, they do have access to that information, and it needs to stop. So Jim Jordan had a version that required the Fourth Amendment or a warrant as stated under the Fourth Amendment. So what does that mean? What it means is that the police can't come into your home without a warrant. It means they can't come in without probable cause. And guess what? I think if they're going to investigate you, they should have probable cause. They should be able to articulate a warrant. And look, I get it. But what if it's another 9/11? What if an attack is imminent? There's a provision in there that allows for, if there's exigent circumstances, if they believe there's imminent bodily harm, that they can act to make sure that that event doesn't happen. Now, in circumspect, they have to be able to defend their actions, but again, in the same way police would have to operate if they bust into your home because they hear someone screaming and they're trying to save someone from an attack, et cetera, they still have to be able to articulate why they went in without said warrant. So that's all we were fighting for. So the clock is ticking. Jim Jordan has his version. It's going to go to the House floor and it's going to pass. It has overwhelming support. And what do? The swamp creatures panic. They pull the bill off the floor, and there's a delay, and they wait. And so now there's this back and forth. And so what was going to be voted on yesterday, which I was one of those that blocked, was a 5-year extension. Now, why is 5 years important? Because it takes it beyond Donald Trump, because they don't like Donald Trump. So we know the FBI investigated Donald Trump, and this FBI did not want Donald Trump to have the ability to reform it once he's president of the United States. Donald Trump went to Truth Social and said, FISA was used against me. They're spying on Americans, which is absolutely true. And he said, kill it. And so like a good American, like a patriot, I was one of those that stood up and said, look, Jim Jordan's bill is what America wants. Jim Jordan's bill is the bill that is in line with the Constitution of the United States, and it protects the Fourth Amendment, and it protects you from an FBI that we know is corrupt. Again, that's not hyperbole. It has been proven. We know that FBI agents were involved in Russiagate, the scandal, the made-up investigation. And so all we're saying is let's get a better deal. So what's likely to happen? Well, it's DC. Anything can happen. The swamp is real. But I think what we're going to get to vote on is a 2-year extension instead of 5. That's a win for America because we'll be able to revisit this again when we have the House, the Senate, and Donald Trump as president, and we can truly bring accountability to FISA. And there's going to be, hopefully, that warrant requirement that I talked about. So this truly is simply getting a better deal for the American people. Now, some people say, well, it's chaotic. Our founding fathers intended for there to be gridlock. John Quincy Adams loved the House of Representatives. Why? Because it's where you argued. It's where you debated. It was the most raucous of chambers, his most beloved. Why? Because it's where the people's business is done. And I, for one, don't believe that the FBI should be able to spy on innocent Americans. I don't believe the FBI or any other alphabet agency should be able to spy on you because you're a conservative or because you're a Christian. For that matter, they shouldn't be able to spy on you for any other reason unless you're engaged in terrorist-type activity. So that being said, there should be a vote in the morning, or I'm not sure when we're releasing this. Oh, wait, it's live. I'm sorry. It's a live video. That's the great thing about video. You do these things, and I totally forgot we're live here. So what you see is what you get with me, right? But that being said, so in the morning, we're going to have a vote. Originally, we hoped it was going to be tonight, but the Prime Minister of Japan was here. I was just there with him, and he spoke to Congress. But now, vote tomorrow, 2 years. Warrant is what's going to be required and what we hope to get done for America. And keep in mind, art of the deal. If hypothetically midnight is the deadline, you're going to get your best deal, your best negotiation at 11:59. And that's what we've done. We've taken this to get the best deal for you. And in 2 years, if this passes, we'll do it again. Now, let's go on to the border crisis because we know that there is a border crisis. Now, we're going to play a clip here. Is that a yes?
Yeah, we're going to do the talk about border first, and then
So John Carlos says, by the way, can y'all see this really think this right? Is this not cool? I come into the office and John Carlos made this. So kudos to John Carlos. Everybody give John Carlos a shout out. So the border crisis, we know it's a mess. And so we have a situation where we have known child molesters, rapists, murderers, and terrorists coming across the southern border. We have a situation just a few weeks ago where someone on the terror watch list was caught coming across the border, and they were caught with bomb-making materials. This could be shut down today if Joe Biden chose to. And so I think we have a video clip of an individual who was caught by the Texas Department of Safety, who's a known molester of children and abuser of children. Take it away.
We don't have the clip. We have a clip of Kamal. We do have the article.
All right, so we see the article, again, live TV. But what we see is the guy was coming up with the Rio Grande on a jet ski. He's someone that is wanted in Florida. And so why is this guy coming back into this country? Why? Because of Joe Biden's border. And so this is a situation where every small town in America is a border town. I've said it once and I'll say it again. And if you took all the illegals that have come in under Joe Biden, it would equate to the 5th or 6th largest state in the country. Think about that for a minute. That's on par with like a New York kind of deal. And so we've got to reverse this flow of individuals. And again, Laken Riley's dead because of Joe Biden's illegal immigration open border policy. Two young girls, one in Virginia, one in Louisiana, both 14 years old, were raped on different incidents, raped by illegal aliens. Why? Because of illegal aliens. That could have been stopped. It could have been prevented. Those crimes should have never have happened. Their lives, their families' lives are changed forever because of Joe Biden. Enough is enough. Regardless of where you're at on the issue of immigration, we have to have a secure border. And, oh, by the way, as testified before Congress, we know that we have terror cells operating in this country. So with all of this going on, the FISA bill where we know the government's spying on Americans, this open border that's resulting in young women and children being victimized, you have, I guess, a clip of Kamala Harris. Take it away.
Had it or hit it, people taking their shoes off on airplanes. Oh, God, had it completely. It's terrible.
awful. And then if they take their shoes off and then cross their legs so that their foot is just dangling right in front of you. It's just, and especially if they're sockless.
The sockless people in an airport.
Again, we all have moments of levity, but she is the Vice President of the United States. We do have young women being victimized daily in this country by illegals. We have murders, we have attacks, we have burglaries, et cetera, by illegals. Fentanyl deaths. If any country was, by way of bomb or gun, was killing as many Americans as fentanyl was by the Mexican cartel through the southern border, it'd be an act of war. And the vice president, who, by the way, is giving plane tickets to illegals. Oftentimes, they have their own security checkpoint. They're getting better service from the federal government than you are. This is a problem, folks. This tells you where their priorities are. They think it's okay to spy on you. I don't. They think it's okay to allow illegals in this country. I don't. They think it's okay to laugh because the rules that apply to you and to me don't apply to them. I've had it. I have come up here to fight. We've got some information that we'll be releasing in the next few days talking about the number of pieces of legislation I've offered, the numbers of those that have passed, and how many of them have been signed into law. And it'll be surprising what kind of a stubborn congressman can get done if you're willing to fight, like John Quincy Adams did and said that he loved so much about the House of Representatives. With that, this is Andy Ogles. It's an honor to serve in the 5th Congressional District, to serve my home state of Tennessee, and to serve our great nation. God bless, and take care of those you love.